dream the same dream. And then...
Sometimes, the best act of love you can have for someone is to let them go. Wanda is a powerful witch who is grieving for her loved one, Vision, and for the life she could never have. She's frustrated by how close she got to be truly happy, how it was taken away from her, and how everyone now saw her as evil when she had literally sacrificed the person she loved for the greater good for nothing. And besides that, everyone who also did bad things to cope with their grief not only got their loved ones back, but now were also seen as heroes, except for her.
You break the rules and become a hero. I do it, I become the enemy.
Throughout the whole movie, she does bad things in the name of love. But is it really though? Can anybody really love someone while sabotaging their life because they need to? Or is it motivated by something else? Because we often say, when you really love someone, you don't do anything that could hurt them. However, a lot of times, we find excuses to explain why we had to do awful things to protect our loved ones. In this video, we're going to discuss how we're all prone to being evil to the ones we love the most, how Wanda addresses where those behaviors really come from, and why letting the person you love go sometimes is the best thing you can do for them.
Do you think that it might have worked?
Yeah. But that's not how things wound up.
Haunted every day by nightmares about the life she wasn't allowed to have, not even in her fantasy, Wanda finally finds a way to be truly happy and not defined by her pain anymore, to escape for a different universe. However, she does a lot of evil along the way, and when she's finally able to reconnect with her children, Wanda gets a dose of reality when she realizes that, in the end, she was once again seen as the villain. But instead of drowning in self-pity or trying to find another universe, one after the other, until she succeeded, she realizes the same thing that Strange realized along his journey to defeat her. And that's when she finally finds some peace of mind and redeems herself. After the events of Infinity War, Wanda tries to cope with her loss by building herself a life with Vision, one that they could never have had. The most special thing in Westview is how everything is absolutely normal, despite the fact that she is keeping everyone in town trapped in their roles in her fantasy with a spell.
Fine. You're fine. You're all going to be fine.
When you let us sleep.
In the beginning of Multiverse of Madness, she claims she's healing and therefore is not even using magic anymore. For a few minutes, Strange is truly convinced she's trying to be better and deserves a second chance, just like he had his own. However, he soon connects the dots and realizes she's the one who's been chasing America all along, so she can run away to a reality where her perfect family is not made up by a spell. And that urge puts her in the path of becoming the villain everyone thought she was and that she's been running from for so long. A lot of times, we may feel obligated to act certain ways because the situation forces us to. It can be convincing our kids they're not ready to live by themselves, only so they don't leave for college, or sabotaging a friend's relationship so we don't lose our place in their lives. One way or another, we convince ourselves that we know what's best for them, so we're doing it for their own good. But what if we don't? What if our actions do more damage than good in the long term? What if it backfires and we end up pushing them away? And we do wish them well, but are we really doing good if we need to resort to methods such as manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional blackmail? Who are we really doing that for? Who can really make us do something against our will? Because it's normal to want to keep our loved ones away from pain as well. We want them to have all the best things in the world, to be surrounded by the best people, and if possible, we want them to never get disappointed or sad. So we may think their significant other is suspicious and start provoking conflict in the relationship, so they act exactly how we said they would, because we saw what they couldn't. Or we keep telling them they won't last long without us, because they are too naive to be alone in college and will get themselves in trouble. And we may get really frustrated when they get mad or distant because it seems like they're just being stubborn and can't accept the truth or advice from someone who has more life experience. But they don't distance themselves or get mad because we disagree with them. They do that because we're tearing them apart just to prove our point. The truth is, when we act that way, we're not doing it for them, but for ourselves. We're being selfish, and not because we're mean, but because we're so frightened of pain that we do anything to avoid it and protect ourselves. We don't want our kids to grow because we like to feel useful. So, we keep trapping them saying they're not capable of being on their own because otherwise, we will not be useful anymore and they're gonna leave, and we don't want to be alone. That's why Wanda wants to take America's power. She doesn't want to prevent the kids from getting sick because she loves them. She wants it to avoid the pain of seeing them get sick and therefore feeling impotent, just like she felt when she had to kill Vision. Wanda is traumatized and terrified of commitment. All she does, deep down, is to avoid suffering. So she does want a family and relationships, but cannot bear the loss of control, which is inevitable when you're dealing with other beings. That's why she doesn't create bonds with real people. She created her children, so even when they were disobedient, she didn't get frustrated or mad. It was actually endearing because it gave her that sense of reality. Just like she did with the apple trees that would only bloom in the following year. She was always in control, even before Westview. Although Vision developed consciousness, he was still a machine. There were very clear limits of what he could and could not do. Wanda was safe all along. It was her priority to keep it that way. Commitment means not being safe. Therefore, she holds onto the idea of motherhood, but having a family means facing real-life problems, ones that she cannot control. So she's constantly daydreaming, never connected to reality, as it can potentially cause her pain. In the end, being so desperate to be loved the way she deserved and never get hurt again was exactly what made her not deserve all that affection and get hurt once more. She's broken-hearted after realizing she was not being the person she intended to be, and that all her actions were actually motivated by her own fears. But her children, Billy and Tommy, didn't deserve to pay for her trauma. Suffering can't be avoided, as pain and joy are two faces of the same coin. You can't experience joy if you don't risk getting hurt. Wanda couldn't stand getting hurt or hurting anyone else again, so she ended up doing what was really an act of love and selflessness, despite it breaking her heart, letting someone else love her loved ones. To really love someone is to accept that what you think is best is not always the best for them, and if it is, they need to discover that by themselves. You may think they're not ready, but they will never be until you let them try. Loving is wanting their happiness and growth, even if their plans don't include you, and recognizing that they won't be as happy with you as they would be somewhere else. Sometimes, the best act of love you can have for someone is to let them go.